What's up everybody, SubaruWRXFan here for another car review. This is of course the 1990 Nissan Skyline GTR. Huge thanks to Brian of BrianJewel1988 on Instagram for allowing me to review his awesome GTR here for you guys today. So about the R32 generation GTR, well, all of us here in America have been going crazy about these ever since they became legal recently to import here under the 25-year rule, and so just a super cool car. I mean, you know, it's always been everyone wants what they can't have, right? And so this has been forbidden fruit for so long. We finally can get them here, and it's just such a treat to even see these in the States and, you know, see them out, you know, right-hand drive and all, and it's just super cool. I mean, these were legendary cars, you know, within racing and also just in Japan in general. It's just a highly respected vehicle, and it's just legendary, honestly. And so I'm just thankful to be even standing next to this currently today. Anyway, as far as the way it looks, I mean, it's a car from 1990, but I think it actually has aged very well. You still have projector beam headlights there. That's a, you know, pretty futuristic thing for 1990. It looks really great. You know, it's got these really nice gold wheels on it as well that really set it off with the white paint job here. And this one has a few interesting quirks like many cars of this age do. This one has the N1 front bumper, but it's not an N1 model, at least as long as the owner is concerned. He's not totally sure because there's a lot that goes into it and there weren't very good records kept of which cars were which and whatnot. But there's a few things about this car that, you know, it's not an actual Nismo model, but it certainly does seem like, you know, from some of the parts and stuff that someone, whenever this car was in Japan, did a very good job of converting some parts over to the N1 spec and the Nismo spec. But otherwise, it's a basic GTR, but that's still an amazing thing. You have a tiny, lightweight car with all-wheel drive, twin-turbo, straight six, and overall, just a really cool car. Right, for the interior of the R32 GTR here, well, it's very cool. Of course, I'm sitting on the right-hand side of the vehicle, which is a new thing. I've never driven a right-hand drive car before, so this should be a new experience. Other things to note, the first thing you notice, sitting down in these seats, they're actually really nice and comfortable seats, and you know, they're kind of a one-piece design here. It's kind of interesting, and but they have really great support here. Great bolstering. You know, I'm a pretty thin guy, but they still hug me in really well, actually, and feel nice and tight. They seem pretty comfortable as well, too. We'll have to drive a little longer and see more about that. But otherwise, they're really nice seats. Next is the steering wheel in the R32 GTR. Now, this one is not stock, of course. This has a Vertex wheel here, and it's really nice, though. It's a pretty small wheel. It's nicely leather wrapped, has a nice 9-3 grip, and that's about it. It's just a good basic wheel, and I think it's a good design, too, and overall, just really nice. Next is the gauges in the GTR here, which are really cool. Basic 90s Japanese gauges, but nothing wrong with that. They're very nice and simple, clear, easy to read. You do have some cool additional gauges as well, too. In addition to your basic 4 gauges there, you also have your front torque gauge there, which is interesting to see that. And, you know, of course, everything's in kilometers because this is a car from Japan. And you also have these auxiliary gauges here over the left-hand side of your steering wheel, and you see a boost gauge there, which is very nice to have. Although I wish that they would maybe have swapped that for the front torque gauge there, so you would have the boost gauge more directly in front of you. But otherwise, I mean, really great. Everything is very driver-centric in this car. You know, the whole center console here is angled towards the driver. You have your radio controls actually up here on the dashboard binnacle here, and so interesting. You know, you also have your wiper controls and your lights here on the other side. Another interesting thing about, you know, Japanese vehicles here is you have the turn signal on the right-hand side here for a right-hand drive vehicle, which again should be something that'll take a little getting used to, but it should be pretty easy. Yeah, it's just a really nicely laid out design, though. You know, with the center console, your basic, you know, climate control does have a nice little screen to it, which is pretty cool, and again, pretty impressive for something from 1990. You got a Kenwood radio in here that I don't think is factory, but works just fine there with a cassette deck and all. Then, you know, you just have the shifter, which is nicely laid out here, and it's in a good position so you can rest your elbow on the armrest here and shift, and it doesn't really get in the way. And so, yeah, nicely placed shifter. As far as storage space in the R32, well, it's about what you would expect for a vehicle of this age and type. First thing, you have little map pockets here in the doors that can, in fact, fit a map, but not much more than that. And so, but good to have those nonetheless. Coming over to the center here, you have an ashtray for, you know, next to the cigarette lighter here. And, you know, pretty nice standard size ashtray. Can't fit too much in there. And then you have this other little cubby back here that you could probably fit a small drink, but there aren't actual cup holders. And I don't see any other cup holders in this vehicle at all. So, you know, if you want a drink, bring it in a bottle, and that's that. But, yeah, there's that. And then you have this little center armrest, which is a pretty good depth, and you can fit a good amount of things in there, as you can see. And this armrest is nice and actually softly padded, so it's great for resting your elbow on, and overall pretty comfortable driving position. Backseat space in the R32 is a little on the tight side, but again, this is a smaller car from the 90s, you know, what do you expect? But it's actually, it's okay, you know, because I'm 5'9", and me sitting behind myself, I have, you know, I'd say my knees are almost right up against the back of the seat there, but I do fit, and I actually have a couple inches of headroom to spare there, so pretty good as far as that's concerned. And yeah, overall, you know, it's not a backseat you want to use every day, but in a pinch, it'll work just fine. Trunk space in the GTR is pretty good as well. You know, I have nothing mind-blowing, but it's, you know, usable and works just fine. All right, guys, so I only have a little bit of time to drive this car here, but first time driving right-hand drive, I gotta say, it's different, but it actually feels surprisingly natural. It doesn't seem too hard to stay in your lane. You know, and it's just a new experience. I'm just sensory overload. This is my first time, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm not as eloquent as I usually am here. But other things to note about it. Visibility is actually pretty good. I mean, you know, it's because of the shape of these cars, there's lots of glass. You can see around pretty well. There is a pretty hefty C-pillar back there. You kind of have to look around a little bit. But otherwise, you know, as long as your mirrors are configured correctly and stuff, it's totally manageable. It's funny though, because the shifter is the same pattern as it would be with a normal left-hand drive vehicle. So it's kind of this interesting thing to try and figure out. You know, kind of you have to do the thinking completely different. And my left hand's doing the shifting while my right hand's like, oh wait, you need to steer, when I'd normally be steering with my left hand while shifting. And so that power though is it's amazing. I mean, these were rated at 276 horsepower and about 266 pound-feet of torque from the factory, but I think that might have been underrated because this is a twin-turbo 2.6 liter engine that you know, is the famous RB26 that are very, very stout motors, and I think as I'm trying to find third, are very you know, bulletproof, honestly. And so it feels like way more than 276 horsepower. I mean, yes, the car is light at, you know, around 3,150 pounds, but still, you know, it's amazing how flat it feels, how direct it feels. But it's funny, you know, you're kind of driving by the white line on the right-hand side of the road instead of the center line as your point of, I guess, reference. And it's different, but we're on some really great back roads here. And this has a Tomei titanium exhaust too, which sounds spectacular. This, you know, infamous sound of these RVs is just wonderful. But it just handles like a dream, honestly. It does have a very traditional turbocharged feel too, like you would expect. Even though it is twin turbo, it does feel somewhat like a single turbo setup with, you know, you don't have a ton of power down low, but in those upper RPM ranges, it really rips and plants you in the back of your seat like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it's really amazing. Yeah, I mean, just the power though, that was 4,000 RPM and it just hauls so quickly. It's really impressive. And the great thing is this power band is so broad, I'm just staying in third gear and I don't need to row through the gears, honestly, because there's power everywhere, really. And that's really nice as well, because you don't have to constantly be messing with shifting through gears if you want. You just leave it in third. And I mean, this car is a very high red line too. I mean, the fuel cutoff isn't until, I think he said something like 8,600, so it's way higher than even the red line suggests here of, you know, a soft red line around 7,000. It has way more to give after that, and it's just the power. Oh, that's a rush. The brakes feel great too. This one, the brakes are a little wonky, but they're Brembos and they're very, very stout brakes and just feel spectacular. And I mean, you know, I was not pushing it there at all, guys, but it is mind-blowing. And it's great too because these are now becoming more and more affordable because they're just flooding the market now that they're available. And it's a great thing because for those that want a fun, enthusiast-oriented car that's unique, that's going to get everyone looking and be something that gets everyone excited, you know, you can't beat it for the money. I mean, honestly, there's nothing you can buy that's the same price as this. It's going to get you more looks. It's going to get you, you know, more fun. Honestly, I think this is one of the best value bargains now that these are finally legal, and it's the greatest thing ever. Another thing you notice, though, whenever you're driving one of these, is the pedal box is actually pretty narrow as well, and it's shifted to the right-hand side, which is just something that's interesting. You know, I wouldn't suggest wearing very wide shoes, you know, but it would be nice, I'm sure, for heel towing. I'm terrible at it, but I'm sure that it's set up great for that with how close the pedals are to each other. Another thing to note is the clutch is very easy to use. It's very light and very accessible. It's not, you know, there's this one, of course, is mostly basically stock for an R32. It does have a Mines ECU, but it's on the stock normal low boost levels, so it's running stock boost, and so, you know, it's very much exactly like you would feel in any other stock R32 GTR. And but yeah, I mean, it feels really nice. I mean, the shifter is very I guess precise. It's not very vague. You know where all the gears are. You just have to remember that it's in the same configuration, because I keep wanting to go towards my body for first gear, but it's not. First is all the way up and to the left. And so just little things like that, little quirks that once you learn them, it's totally fine. It's just kind of your brain for a second is on a little bit of a brain fart, and it's trying to figure out, oh wait, I need to flip everything and invert everything I do. But once you get beyond that, it's a ton of fun. Another thing to notice while we're just kind of cruising here in traffic, the seats are pretty comfortable actually. They really fit your body really well, and they're nicely contoured so that, you know, for, hold on, tunnel. Oh, so nice. Anyway, but yeah, they're really nicely set up, and it is a really nice thing to just drive. And it does feel small. That's one thing too that you know, people either love or hate, but it does feel nice and small, and so it's not intimidating to drive as long as you're okay with being on the right-hand side. Other than that, though, it's very manageable. You know, the hood drops down nicely, so you can see forward very well. You know, you can see out of the back totally fine. And, you know, it's a very manageable little thing for the most part, and so that certainly helps whenever you're driving it. Once you do drive it for a little bit, though, you get the hang of it. I mean, now I'm finding the gearbox just fine. I'm not searching for gears. It feels really natural. I'm kind of amazed at just how quickly you can get used to everything with right-hand drive. It's really not that bad at all and not intimidating once you get used to it. Alrighty, so we're going to turn onto the straight road here and see how it does. Impressive to you, but the more that you drive it, and just driving it once, you'll understand the magic of this car, because it's truly just, it's special in every way. Just, I mean, and it's so funny, because, you know, I've reviewed the R35 GTR in 09 and a 2014, and I can feel a lot of that same character in this car. It still has the point and shoot kind of ability where you feel like you have superpowers, like I want to be over there, and you hit it and boom, you're over there. It's done deal, and it's like it's telepathic. It goes wherever you want it to go. It's very precise. It handles it all for you. You don't have to worry about a back end that's wildly stepping out on you or anything like that, although this does like to step out a little bit if you provoke it. But whenever you're just trying to go brakes rate to make sure that it does that, even though it's flying whenever it's doing so. Just good grief. I mean, you guys can see the huge smile on my face. I mean, it's really amazing. Like I said, you have to drive one of these things to understand it. It's mind-blowing. And all the hype, by the way, it's completely warranted, completely understandable now. It's worthy of every single overhyped statement you've seen about it. It really is that great. That never gets old. That could never, ever, ever get old. Alrighty, so I'm gonna leave you guys with one last little acceleration here. I got a wheel spin there, I can hear it. Wow, what a special car. This thing is such a rush. Yep, I gotta say, as far as the Japanese classics go, this is certainly one that I would love to own one day as well. It's really, really special. And I can't give enough thanks to the owner for allowing me to drive his baby here today for you guys. I know many of you are very excited about the idea of an R32 review. So thank you very much for voicing your opinion, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys very much for watching it, and I'll see you next time. Take care.